Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something powerful. When life gets tough, when you feel alone, isolated, and like the whole world is turning its back on you, that's not the end. That's the beginning of something extraordinary. That's the moment when God is preparing you for a breakthrough. Think about it. When does the seed grow? When it's buried deep in the soil, hidden from the world, surrounded by darkness. That isolation isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's transformation. In those moments of solitude, when you feel no one understands your struggle, that's when growth happens. That's when clarity emerges. You see, if you always had the noise of the world around you, you wouldn't hear your inner voice. You wouldn't hear the whispers of purpose, the nudges of destiny. God isn't isolating you to punish you. He's isolating you to elevate you. Here's the truth: diamonds are formed under pressure, gold is refined by fire, and the greatest leaders, the most unstoppable forces in history, are shaped in silence. When you're alone, that's when you find out who you truly are. That's when you discover the strength you never knew existed. Because in isolation, you're not losing, you're gaining. You're gaining perspective, you're gaining resilience, and you're gaining a deeper connection with yourself and your purpose. But you have to embrace the process. You can't run from it, and you can't numb it. When you feel like giving up, when the loneliness feels unbearable, remember this: the cocoon isn't forever. The caterpillar doesn't understand why it's trapped, why it has to struggle in the dark. But that struggle is what gives it wings. That struggle is what transforms it into something breathtaking, something free, something that can soar. God isn't putting you through isolation to break you. He's doing it to build you. He's removing distractions, cutting away what no longer serves you, and creating space for the blessings that are coming. And when those blessings arrive, you'll understand why the preparation was necessary. You'll look back and say, now I see it, now I get it. So don't despise the isolation. Don't fight the silence. Lean into it. Use it, learn from it, let it shape you. Because when you come out of this, you won't just be the person you were before. You'll be stronger, wiser, and ready to step into the life you were meant to live. God isolates you before the blessing because he's not just giving you a gift, he's making you the person who can carry it, sustain it, and share it with the world. This is your moment. This is your transformation. Trust the process, because what's waiting for you on the other side is bigger than anything you can imagine. Keep going. You are being prepared for greatness. When life feels like it's closing in on you, when friends fade away, opportunities seem scarce, and the noise of the world disappears, it can feel like you've been abandoned. But here's the truth: isolation is preparation. It's a deliberate, divine process designed not to break you, but to build you into the person capable of handling what's coming next. This isn't a setback, it's a setup. It's not rejection, it's redirection. And it's not punishment, it's preparation. God isolates you because he sees what's ahead. He knows the blessings, the opportunities, the challenges, and the responsibilities that are coming your way, and he wants to ensure you are ready not just to receive them, but to thrive with them. Think about this: every masterpiece requires time away from the public eye. The artist steps back from the world, finds a quiet space, and begins the work. The sculptor chisels away in silence. The painter layers colors on a canvas without an audience. And the musician writes and rewrites the melody long before it's heard. Isolation isn't a curse, it's the space where greatness is born. It's the workshop where your skills are honed, your resilience is built, and your purpose is clarified. Without it, you wouldn't be equipped to carry the weight of the blessings you've prayed for. When God isolates you, he's not taking something from you, he's clearing the distractions that could derail you. The noise of the world can drown out your ability to focus on what truly matters. Relationships, habits, or even environments that aren't aligned with your destiny may need to be removed to create space for the growth you're about to experience. That space is sacred. It's where you can hear his voice more clearly, where your heart can align with his plan, and where your spirit can find strength in the silence. Imagine a tree standing tall in the forest. It has deep roots, strong branches, and reaches for the sky. But before it became that mighty tree, it started as a seed, buried deep in the soil, hidden from sight. Alone in the darkness, it had no one to rely on, no sunlight, and no recognition. But that seed didn't wither, it grew. It grew because the darkness wasn't its enemy, it was its environment for growth. The soil provided the nutrients, the rain brought water, and the solitude gave it the chance to strengthen its roots. That's the essence of isolation. It's not about where you are, but what's happening beneath the surface. In these moments, God is teaching you lessons that cannot be learned in the crowd. He's teaching you patience when the world is rushing. He's teaching you faith when everything feels uncertain. He's teaching you strength when you feel weakest. And he's teaching you the value of being enough, just as you are, without the validation or applause of others. These lessons aren't meant to make the journey easier. They're meant to make you stronger, more grounded, and unshakable in your purpose. Isolation is where your character is refined. It's where you confront your fears, doubts, and insecurities head on. You learn to rely not on others, but on the strength within you and the guidance of God. This is not about self-sufficiency. It's about spiritual sufficiency. It's about realizing that everything you need has already been placed within you, waiting for the right conditions to emerge. The struggle of isolation brings clarity. It strips away the superficial and reveals the essence of who you are. It's in this space that you discover your true identity, not defined by your achievements, possessions, or relationships, but by the strength and purpose that God has placed within you. When God isolates you, he's also shielding you. There are battles you're not ready to face yet, storms you're not prepared to endure, and blessings you're not yet equipped to handle. The isolation acts as a cocoon, a place of safety and growth where you can mature without the pressure of external forces. It's a protective measure, not a punitive one. And just like the caterpillar inside the cocoon, your time in isolation is not wasted. It's the crucial stage where transformation happens, where the caterpillar becomes the butterfly ready to spread its wings. Isolation also teaches gratitude. When you're stripped of the distractions, you begin to appreciate the simple, profound gifts of life. You start to see the beauty in quiet moments, the strength in solitude, and the peace that comes from trusting the process. Gratitude shifts your perspective. It allows you to see isolation not as a season of loss, but as a season of gain. It's a time when you're not just waiting for life to happen, you're actively becoming the person who can embrace life's fullest blessings. But here's the most powerful truth: isolation is temporary. It's a season, not a sentence. And while it may feel endless in the moment, it's preparing you for the moment when the doors open and you step into the next chapter of your life. When that happens, you'll look back and realize that the isolation wasn't holding you back. It was setting you up for a breakthrough. It was giving you the tools, the strength, and the clarity you needed to move forward with purpose and power. God isolates you before blessing you because he wants to ensure that the blessing doesn't overwhelm you. He wants to make sure you can carry it, protect it, and use it to fulfill your purpose. This is not a time of abandonment, it's a time of alignment. It's not a time to despair, it's a time to prepare. Trust the process, because what's being built in the silence is far greater than what the world can see right now. Stay the course. The best is yet to come. Growth happens in silence. It's in the quiet, solitary moments of life where the deepest transformations take place. When the noise fades, distractions disappear, and the world seems to have turned its back on you, something powerful is happening beneath the surface. These moments of silence aren't random, they are intentional. They are part of a divine process that allows you to confront yourself, discover your strengths, and uncover the purpose buried within your soul. While it may feel like nothing is happening, the truth is that everything is happening. Take a moment to consider nature. Seeds do not grow in the glare of sunlight, surrounded by crowds. They begin their journey underground, hidden in the dark, encased in soil. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening, but inside the seed, an extraordinary process is unfolding. Cells are multiplying, roots are stretching out, and life is beginning to take shape. The darkness of the soil provides safety and sustenance for this transformation. Without the silence of that environment, the seed could not grow. This is the same for human growth. It often requires stillness, solitude, and silence to truly take root. Silence can be uncomfortable because it forces us to confront ourselves. It removes the external distractions we use to mask our fears, insecurities, and doubts. When the noise of the world is gone, we're left with our thoughts, our feelings, and our truths. It's in these moments that we begin to see who we really are, not who we pretend to be or who others expect us to be. Silence strips away the superficial and reveals the core of our being. It's an unfiltered, raw experience, but it's also a necessary one. Growth cannot occur unless we face ourselves honestly and fully. When life becomes silent, we often mistake it for stagnation. We think that if we're not moving, not achieving, or not surrounded by others, we're not progressing. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Silence is where reflection happens. It's where we gain clarity about what we want, who we are, and where we're going. The pace of the world can be relentless, and it's easy to get caught up in the constant noise, chasing after goals without ever stopping to ask if they align with our purpose. Silence gives us the space to ask those questions. It gives us the opportunity to recalibrate, to let go of what no longer serves us, and to focus on what truly matters. In silence, we also learn patience. Growth is not instant. It's a process that unfolds over time. The seed doesn't become a tree overnight, and the caterpillar doesn't emerge as a butterfly without first enduring the cocoon. These transformations take time, and so does personal growth. Silence teaches us to trust the process. It reminds us that even when we can't see the results, the work is still being done. It encourages us to have faith that the small, unseen steps we're taking today will lead to big, visible changes tomorrow. Silence also strengthens us in ways that noise never could. It builds resilience by forcing us to rely on ourselves and our faith. When we're surrounded by others, it's easy to lean on their support, their energy, and their opinions. But in silence, we learn to stand on our own. We discover that we're stronger than we thought and that we have everything we need within us to overcome challenges. This strength becomes the foundation upon which we build our future. Growth in silence also brings creativity to life. Without the constant input of external opinions and distractions, our minds have the space to explore, imagine, and create. Some of the greatest innovations, ideas, and breakthroughs have come from people who spent time alone, immersed in their thoughts, and disconnected from the noise of the world. Silence unlocks the creative potential that often lies dormant within us, waiting for the right conditions to emerge. But perhaps the most profound growth in silence is spiritual. It's in the quiet moments that we can hear the voice of God, the whispers of intuition, and the guidance of our higher selves. The world is noisy, and it can drown out these subtle but powerful messages. Silence creates the space for us to connect with something greater than ourselves. It's where we find peace, purpose, and direction. It's where we realize that we're not alone, even when we feel isolated. Silence is not a void, it's a vessel. It's not an absence, it's an opportunity. It's the space where growth happens, where potential is unlocked, and where transformation begins. It may feel uncomfortable, even painful at times, but it is also necessary. Without silence, we would never grow into the people we were meant to be. So while the silence may feel like nothing, know that it is everything. It is the foundation upon which your future is being built. It is the stage upon which your transformation is taking place. And it is the gift that allows you to grow into the person you were always meant to become. Pressure creates strength. It is an undeniable truth of life that the greatest transformations, the most profound growth, and the strongest beings are born under pressure. Pressure is not the enemy, it is the catalyst. It is the force that drives change, the weight that forges resilience, and the heat that refines character. In moments of pressure, when life feels heavy, when the weight of challenges seems unbearable, you are not being crushed, you are being strengthened. It may not feel like it in the moment, but the pressure is serving you in ways you cannot yet see. Consider the diamond. It begins as a piece of carbon, ordinary and unremarkable. But under intense heat and pressure, something extraordinary happens. The carbon atoms rearrange themselves, transforming into one of the hardest and most brilliant substances on Earth. Without that pressure, the diamond could never exist. The process is not comfortable and it is not quick. It is grueling, unrelenting, and requires time. Yet, it is absolutely necessary. The same is true for you. The pressures you face are not meant to destroy you. They are meant to transform you into something unshakable, something extraordinary. Life's challenges often feel overwhelming because we resist the pressure rather than embracing it. We see it as something to escape from, a burden to avoid, rather than a force that is shaping us. But the truth is, the moments of greatest pressure are the moments when we are being molded into our highest potential. The struggles, the obstacles, and the setbacks are not signs of failure, they are indicators of growth. They are the universe's way of saying you are ready for more, but you must first become more. Under pressure, we discover strengths we didn't know we had. When the comfortable routines of life are disrupted, when we are pushed beyond our limits, we are forced to adapt. We learn to think creatively, act decisively, and persevere in the face of adversity. These are the qualities that build resilience, and resilience is the foundation of all greatness. Without pressure, these qualities remain dormant, untested, and undeveloped. It is only through the struggle that we become stronger, more capable, and more prepared for what lies ahead. Pressure also brings clarity. When life is easy and predictable, it's tempting to coast along without much thought about our choices, our goals, or our purpose. But when pressure is applied, it forces us to focus. It strips away distractions and reveals what truly matters. In these moments, we gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and our priorities. We are compelled to confront our fears, reevaluate our values, and make decisions that align with our true selves. Pressure has a way of cutting through the noise, helping us see what is essential and what is not. This process is not just about individual growth, it's also about preparation. Pressure prepares us for the responsibilities and opportunities that come with success. If everything came easily, we would never develop the skills or the character needed to sustain our achievements. The weight of pressure trains us to carry the weight of greatness. It teaches us how to handle adversity, how to stay grounded in the face of triumph, and how to remain humble in the midst of abundance. Without pressure, success would be fragile and fleeting. Pressure is also a powerful teacher. It reveals our weaknesses, our blind spots, and our limitations, not to discourage us, but to show us where we need to grow. It challenges us to step up, to push beyond what we thought was possible, and to become better versions of ourselves. Every challenge, every setback, and every moment of doubt is an opportunity to learn, to improve, and to evolve. It is through this process that we gain wisdom, strength, and the confidence to face whatever comes next. The beauty of pressure is that it is temporary. It may feel all-encompassing in the moment, but it does not last forever. What remains, however, is the strength it builds within us. Just as the diamond endures long after the pressure has subsided, the lessons, skills, and resilience we gain from our struggles become permanent parts of who we are. They shape our character, define our values, and empower us to navigate life with greater purpose and confidence. Pressure is not a sign that you are failing, it is a sign that you are progressing. It is an indication that you are being prepared for something greater than your current circumstances. The challenges you face today are building the foundation for the victories you will experience tomorrow. Each moment of pressure is an investment in your future self, a step toward becoming the person you are meant to be. So the next time life feels overwhelming, remember this: the pressure you are under is not here to break you. It is here to strengthen you, to refine you, and to prepare you for the incredible journey ahead. Embrace it, trust it, and know that every ounce of pressure is working in your favor, transforming you into something extraordinary. Clarity emerges in isolation. When the noise of the world fades and you find yourself alone, it can feel unsettling at first. The distractions that once filled your days and the voices that guided your choices are gone, leaving you with nothing but your thoughts. But this is where the magic begins. It's in isolation, when the external chaos is stripped away, that you can finally hear what's been waiting to surface all along your inner voice. The clarity you've been seeking is not found in the noise, it's found in the stillness. Life is often cluttered with distractions, constant notifications, endless conversations, and a flood of external opinions. These distractions can drown out your ability to truly think and feel for yourself. They pull you in so many directions that it becomes nearly impossible to discern your path. When God allows you to experience isolation, it's not to deprive you, but to gift you the space to reconnect with your purpose. In the silence, you begin to see your life with fresh eyes. You gain perspective on what truly matters, what aligns with your values, and what you need to let go of. Clarity is not something that comes from outside sources. It's not found in the advice of others or in the validation of the world. It's something that emerges from within, and it requires the absence of external noise to be fully heard. Isolation provides that absence. It creates a sacred space where you can sift through the clutter of your thoughts and emotions, peeling back the layers to reveal the truth of who you are and what you want. It's not an easy process. It can be uncomfortable to sit with yourself, to confront the doubts, fears, and insecurities that have been buried beneath the surface, but it's necessary. Growth and clarity demand honesty. And honesty requires solitude. In isolation, you start to realize how much of your life has been shaped by the expectations of others. You see how often you've made decisions based on what you thought you should do rather than what you truly wanted to do. Without the influence of external voices, you can finally tune into your own desires, dreams, and intuition. This is where clarity is born, in the quiet acknowledgement of your own truth. It's not about pleasing others or fitting into a mold. It's about aligning with your authentic self. Clarity also comes from reflection. When you're constantly moving, constantly doing, there's little time to pause and evaluate. Isolation forces you to stop and reflect on where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. It gives you the opportunity to examine your life from a higher vantage point, to see the patterns and choices that have brought you to this moment. In doing so, you gain a deeper understanding of yourself and your journey. You begin to see the lessons in your struggles, the blessings in your challenges, and the purpose in your pain. Isolation also sharpens your focus. When you're surrounded by distractions, it's easy to lose sight of your goals. But when those distractions are removed, you can zero in on what truly matters. You can identify the priorities that align with your purpose and let go of the rest. Clarity is not just about understanding your path, it's about clearing away everything that doesn't belong on it. It's about saying no to what no longer serves you so that you can say yes to what does. This process of gaining clarity is not always immediate. It takes time to quiet the noise within your own mind, to untangle the web of thoughts and emotions that can cloud your judgment. But with patience and persistence, the fog begins to lift. You start to see things as they are, rather than as you wish they were, fear they might be. This kind of clarity is liberating. It frees you from the confusion and indecision that can paralyze you. It empowers you to move forward with confidence, knowing that you are aligned with your true self. In isolation, you also develop a deeper connection with God and your spiritual purpose. The silence allows you to hear his whispers, to feel his guidance, and to trust his plan. When the world is noisy, it's easy to miss these subtle but profound messages. But in the stillness, they become clear. You begin to understand that you are not alone. Even when you feel isolated, you are being guided, supported, and prepared for what lies ahead. Clarity in isolation is not just about discovering your path, it's about gaining the strength to walk it. It's about understanding that the answers you seek are already within you, waiting to be revealed. Isolation gives you the time and space to find them. It's not a punishment, it's a gift. It's an opportunity to step back from the noise of the world and reconnect with the truth of who you are and what you are meant to do. This clarity is transformative. It changes the way you see yourself, your life, and your future. It gives you the confidence to make decisions that align with your values and the courage to pursue your dreams. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Because when you emerge from isolation with a clear vision of your purpose, you are unstoppable. You are ready to step into the life you were meant to live, fully aware of who you are and fully committed to where you're going. Struggles lead to transformation. Life is full of challenges, obstacles, and painful moments. At times, it may seem like these struggles are obstacles to our happiness and success. We wonder why things aren't easier or why we're faced with adversity. But the truth is, the struggles you experience today are the very things that will transform you into the person you are meant to be. They are not the end of your story, they are the beginning of something far greater. Without struggles, without hardship, you cannot truly grow. It's through the fire of difficulty that you are forged into a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. Think of the process of a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. The caterpillar doesn't simply wake up one day as a butterfly. It goes through a process of struggle, confinement, and intense change. Inside the cocoon, the caterpillar is not comfortably resting. It is undergoing a complete transformation, breaking down and rebuilding itself into something entirely new. If someone were to intervene and try to make the process easier, to remove the struggle, the caterpillar would never emerge as a butterfly. The struggle, the confinement, the pressure, it's all part of the process that leads to the transformation. It's a necessary phase, one that shapes and molds the caterpillar into a creature that can soar to new heights. In our own lives, we often resist struggle. We want everything to be easy, smooth, and comfortable. We fear hardship and seek to avoid it at all costs. But what we don't realize is that struggle is a teacher. It's a guide that pushes us toward growth. It challenges us to rise above our limitations, to stretch beyond what we thought was possible, and to tap into strengths we didn't even know we had. It's in these moments of difficulty that we discover our resilience, our courage, and our ability to adapt. Without struggle, we would remain stagnant. We would never grow beyond the version of ourselves that is comfortable and familiar. Struggles force us to step into new territories, to face our fears head on, and to become more than we ever imagined. Think about the greatest figures in history, the ones who have made lasting impacts on the world. None of them reached their greatness without facing struggle. Every success story is built on a foundation of trials, setbacks, and failures. Whether it's the athlete who faces countless hours of grueling practice and physical exhaustion, or the entrepreneur who goes through failure after failure before finally achieving success, the story is always the same. Struggle is what shapes their journey. Without it, they would not have developed the strength, perseverance, and mindset required to achieve their dreams. This transformation happens in many areas of our lives. When we struggle in our relationships, it forces us to grow emotionally. We learn patience, empathy, and how to communicate better. When we face challenges in our careers, it teaches us resilience, problem solving, and the value of hard work. Even in our personal lives, when we face health challenges or personal difficulties, we are often forced to reflect on our values and priorities. We gain deeper insight into what truly matters, and we learn how to overcome obstacles in ways that make us stronger and more equipped for the future. Struggles also teach us humility. They remind us that we are not invincible, that we cannot control everything, and that life is unpredictable. This humility allows us to approach the world with an open mind, an open heart, and a willingness to learn. We become more compassionate and understanding because we know what it's like to be in the trenches. We know the feeling of being pushed to our limits, and that understanding connects us to others who are going through similar struggles. Struggle builds empathy, and through empathy, we create deeper connections with others. When you are in the middle of a struggle, it can be hard to see the bigger picture. It's easy to feel as if the difficulty you're facing is insurmountable, that you'll never overcome it, or that it's a setback rather than a stepping stone. But in reality, the struggle you're facing right now is preparing you for something bigger. It's teaching you the lessons, the strength, and the resilience you'll need to thrive in the future. Just as the caterpillar cannot become a butterfly without enduring the struggle of a cocoon, you cannot evolve into the person you're meant to be without the struggles that challenge you. Overcoming struggles also requires a shift in perspective. Instead of seeing struggle as something to avoid or run from, try to see it as an opportunity for growth. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to learn something new about yourself. Every obstacle is an invitation to become stronger, wiser, and more equipped for the next stage of your journey. The pain you feel in the midst of struggle is temporary, but the growth that comes from it is lasting. It's in the struggle that you build the character and resilience that will carry you through the rest of your life. Transformation through struggle is also a process of self-discovery. When everything is easy, we rarely take the time to truly reflect on who we are, what we want, and what we're capable of. But when we face challenges, we are forced to dig deep. We are forced to ask ourselves the hard questions, to confront our fears, and to find the strength to keep moving forward. Struggles reveal our true potential, and in overcoming them, we discover a version of ourselves that is far more capable than we ever thought possible. In the end, struggles are not something to fear, they are something to embrace. They are the crucible in which you are being refined. They are the pressure that turns you into a diamond, the fire that purifies you. They are the necessary stages of your growth, and without them, you would never become who you are meant to be. So when you face your next struggle, remember that it is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter in which you will be transformed into a stronger, wiser, and more resilient version of yourself. Embrace the struggle, for it is the key to your transformation. In isolation, you are forced to confront your weaknesses. It's an uncomfortable truth that when you are left alone, away from the distractions and comforts of the world, you must face the aspects of yourself you often try to avoid. We live in a world that is constantly on the go, filled with noise, people, and external validation. It's easy to ignore the parts of ourselves that we would rather not acknowledge. But when isolation enters your life, you are given the space to confront those areas of your character that need attention, growth, and healing. It may feel daunting, even painful, but it's in those moments of solitude that you are given the opportunity to truly face the parts of yourself that you need to change in order to grow. We all have vulnerabilities, weaknesses, and fears. These are not necessarily flaws, but rather aspects of our being that need nurturing, understanding, and development. In the hustle and bustle of daily life, we often mask these weaknesses with distractions, work, social media, constant movement. We surround ourselves with noise because it keeps us from having to deal with what is beneath the surface. But isolation strips away those distractions, leaving you with nothing but your own thoughts and feelings. In those moments, the weaknesses you've been avoiding become impossible to ignore. It's a painful but necessary process, for it is only by confronting these vulnerabilities that we can begin to heal and transform them. When you are isolated, you become acutely aware of your fears. These fears often hold you back from pursuing your true potential, from stepping into the life you know you are meant to live. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown, these are all fears that can paralyze you, keeping you stuck in patterns of self-doubt and hesitation. But isolation gives you the opportunity to face these fears head-on. With no one around to distract you or offer comforting words, you are forced to reckon with your own insecurities, and in that confrontation, you gain the strength to overcome them. Facing your fears in isolation is not about running away from them, but about looking them squarely in the eye and realizing that they do not define you. Fear is often just an illusion, a construct of the mind that holds power over us because we avoid it. When we face our fears head on, we realize that they are not as powerful as we once believed. It is in those moments of solitude that we realize that we are more capable of handling fear than we gave ourselves credit for. The very act of confronting it allows us to reclaim our power and take control of our destiny. Isolation also forces you to confront your past. We all carry baggage, old wounds, past mistakes, regrets, and unresolved emotions. These are the things we try to bury, to forget in an effort to move on with our lives. But the truth is, you can't truly move forward if you are constantly running from your past. Isolation gives you the space to reflect on the past, to process the emotions and memories that you have pushed aside. It's not easy, and it's not always comfortable, but it's necessary. You cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge. In isolation, you have the opportunity to face your past with compassion, to forgive yourself and others, and to release the hold that these old wounds have on you. This process of confronting your weaknesses and fears in isolation is not about self-criticism or condemnation. It's about self-awareness and growth. You are not meant to stay stuck in your weaknesses or to be defined by your fears. Isolation is a gift that allows you to reflect, to learn, and to heal. It's a time for you to examine the areas in your life that need attention and to work on becoming a better, stronger version of yourself. It's in isolation that you learn to be your own support system, to trust yourself, and to develop the resilience needed to overcome life's challenges. Through this process, you begin to develop emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand, manage, and regulate your emotions, as well as the ability to empathize with others. In isolation, you are forced to become more aware of your emotions, to sit with them and understand where they come from. This self-awareness is a crucial step in personal development because it enables you to navigate the complexities of your emotions in a healthy and constructive way. You learn not to react impulsively, but to respond thoughtfully and deliberately. You also gain a deeper understanding of your triggers, those situations or people that cause you to react negatively. By confronting these triggers in isolation, you can learn how to manage them more effectively and avoid repeating unhealthy patterns in the future. Isolation also provides an opportunity for self-discipline. When you are alone without the influence of others, you must rely on your own willpower and determination to stay focused on your goals. It's easy to get distracted when others are around, but when you are isolated, there is no one to hold you accountable except for yourself. This creates an environment where self-discipline is not only necessary, but inevitable. It's in these moments of isolation that you learn to control your impulses, to stay focused on your vision, and to develop the perseverance needed to achieve your goals. As you confront your weaknesses in isolation, you also develop a deeper sense of self-compassion. It's easy to be hard on yourself when you feel like you are falling short, when you see your weaknesses as failures. But isolation teaches you to be kind to yourself. It shows you that your weaknesses do not define your worth. They are simply areas that need attention, just like any other part of your life that requires growth. In isolation, you learn to embrace your imperfections, to acknowledge that they are part of your journey, and to give yourself grace as you work to improve. Ultimately, isolation is a process of self-discovery and self-improvement. It's in those quiet, solitary moments that you come face to face with your vulnerabilities, your fears, and your weaknesses. But it's also in those moments that you begin the process of healing, growth, and transformation. Isolation may feel uncomfortable at times, but it is in those uncomfortable moments that the most profound changes occur. When you emerge from isolation, you do so with greater strength, resilience, and understanding of yourself, ready to step into the world as a more whole and empowered person. In isolation, you gain a deeper connection with God. In the fast-paced, noise-filled world we live in, it can be easy to lose sight of the spiritual side of life. The demands of work, relationships, and daily responsibilities often drown out the quiet whispers of divine guidance. We are constantly surrounded by distractions, leaving little space for reflection, prayer, or spiritual growth. But when you are in isolation, you are given a unique opportunity to reconnect with your spiritual self, to deepen your relationship with God, and to listen more closely to His voice. When you are alone, without the usual noise and distractions, you have the time and the space to seek God in a way that may not be possible in the midst of your busy life. It's in those moments of solitude that you can turn inward, quiet your mind, and open your heart to the divine. God's presence is always with you, but isolation creates an environment where you can more fully attune yourself to it. When you stop trying to fill every moment with activity and external input, you create a space for God's voice to be heard. It is in these quiet, reflective moments that you can feel His guidance, His love, and His peace. In isolation, you may also find that you begin to experience a stronger sense of intimacy with God. In the busyness of life, prayer can sometimes become a routine, something you do out of obligation rather than out of genuine connection. But when you are isolated, you have the chance to approach God with a renewed sense of vulnerability. Without the distractions of the world, you can open up to Him in ways that go beyond surface-level requests or thanksgivings. You can express your fears, your doubts, your frustrations, and your hopes knowing that he is listening and that he understands you completely. It is in this vulnerability that you cultivate a deeper trust in his presence and his plan for your life. Isolation also allows you to reflect on your relationship with God and your spiritual journey. When you are constantly surrounded by the noise of the world, it can be difficult to truly examine where you stand in your faith. But in solitude, you can take the time to assess your spiritual life, to reflect on your growth, your struggles, and your needs. It's an opportunity to ask yourself important questions. Are you truly living in alignment with your faith? Are there areas in your life where you need to surrender more fully to God's will? Are there aspects of your relationship with him that need healing or deepening? Isolation creates the space for this kind of self-reflection, helping you to reconnect with your spiritual goals and to realign yourself with God's purpose for your life. In times of isolation, you may also experience a sense of surrender. When you are alone and disconnected from the external world, it becomes clear that there are many things you cannot control. This realization can be humbling, but it also allows you to release the need for control and to place your trust in God. In surrendering your will to God, you create space for him to work in your life in ways that you could never have imagined. Isolation teaches you to trust in the process, to rely on God's wisdom, and to let go of the fear and anxiety that often arise from trying to control every aspect of your life. Moreover, isolation deepens your ability to listen to God. In the stillness of solitude, you are not only able to hear the thoughts and feelings within you, but also open yourself to the quiet nudges of divine direction. God often speaks in subtle ways through the feeling in your heart, a scripture, or a moment of inspiration that catches you off guard. When you are constantly surrounded by noise and activity, it can be easy to miss these subtle promptings. But in isolation, your mind and spirit are quieted, allowing you to hear more clearly the guidance that God is offering. Isolation can also strengthen your faith. When you are cut off from the usual support systems of family, friends, and community, you may feel vulnerable and alone. But it's in these moments that you have the opportunity to rely more fully on God. You realize that your relationship with him is your true source of strength, that he is your constant companion and your unshakable foundation. Through prayer, reflection, and solitude, your faith is deepened, and you come to understand that you do not need external validation or support to feel connected to God. His love is enough to sustain you, and his presence is always with you, even in the most solitary moments. In isolation, you may also experience a renewal of your sense of purpose. When the distractions of the world are removed, you are able to focus on the calling that God has placed on your life. It becomes easier to hear his voice directing you toward your true purpose, and you begin to gain clarity about your path forward. You may find that God uses your time of isolation to prepare you for something greater, to equip you with the wisdom, strength, and courage needed for the next chapter of your life. Isolation becomes a time of spiritual refinement, a season in which you are shaped and molded to fulfill the purpose for which you were created. Ultimately, isolation is not a punishment or a period of deprivation. It is a sacred space where you are invited to grow closer to God. It's in these moments of solitude that you learn to trust him more fully, to surrender to his will, and to listen attentively for his guidance. Isolation allows you to confront your fears, doubts, and weaknesses, but it also gives you the opportunity to develop a stronger, more intimate relationship with your Creator. It is a time of spiritual growth, reflection, and renewal. And as you emerge from this season of isolation, you are more equipped to step into the world with a deeper sense of purpose, faith, and connection to the divine. Isolation allows you to recognize your true value. In the noise and distractions of everyday life, it's easy to lose sight of who you really are. Society constantly bombards us with messages about what we should look like, what we should achieve, and how we should live. These external pressures can make it difficult to hear our inner voice, to recognize our worth, and to connect with our authentic selves. But when you are isolated, you are given the opportunity to strip away the layers of societal expectations and distractions and truly recognize your intrinsic value. Without the validation of others, isolation forces you to reflect on your own sense of self-worth. In a world where we often measure our value based on our relationships, accomplishments, and material possessions, being alone offers a different perspective. It challenges you to examine who you are beyond external achievements and to discover the unique qualities that make you valuable. You may begin to realize that your worth is not dependent on what you do or what others think of you, but on your inherent qualities, your kindness, your resilience, your creativity, and your ability to love. In isolation, You are encouraged to recognize that you are enough just as you are. This process of recognizing your true value is not always easy. It can be uncomfortable, even painful, to confront the aspects of yourself that you've neglected or undervalued. During times of isolation, you may begin to confront your insecurities, those voices in your head that tell you you're not good enough or that you'll never measure up. But isolation offers you the space to challenge these negative thoughts, to reframe your perspective, and to cultivate a sense of self-love and self-compassion. When you are alone, you are forced to become your own support system, to cheer yourself on, and to appreciate the progress you've made. It is a time to recognize that your value is not defined by external approval, but by your own understanding of who you are. In isolation, you also have the opportunity to reflect on your past experiences and how they have shaped you. Sometimes in the busyness of life, we forget to acknowledge the growth and resilience that comes from overcoming challenges. But when you are isolated, you have the space to look back at your journey with fresh eyes. You may see how far you've come, how much you've grown, and how many obstacles you've overcome. This reflection helps you recognize your own strength and tenacity, and it reinforces your sense of worth. The hardships you've faced, the failures you've encountered, and the lessons you've learned all contribute to the person you are today, and those experiences give you value. Isolation also gives you the chance to rediscover your passions and dreams. Often, in the rush of daily life, we lose touch with the things that truly excite us, the things that make us feel alive. But when you are isolated, you have the time and space to reconnect with your deepest desires. You may remember a long-forgotten dream, a passion you once pursued but set aside due to the demands of life. In isolation, you rediscover your unique talents, your gifts, and the things that bring you joy. You begin to see that your value is not only in what you do for others, but in the things that light you up, the things that make you feel fulfilled and authentic. These passions are an essential part of who you are, and embracing them allows you to recognize your true worth. As you spend time alone, you also learn to appreciate your own company. Being isolated can bring up feelings of loneliness or disconnection, but it also provides a chance to deepen your relationship with yourself. You begin to realize that you don't need others to complete you or validate you. You are whole as you are. Learning to enjoy your own company, to spend time nurturing your own soul, is a powerful realization. It's in this solitude that you begin to understand that you are enough, that your presence in the world matters, and that you have inherent value simply by existing. Moreover, isolation gives you the opportunity to let go of comparison. In today's world, it's easy to compare ourselves to others. Social media, advertisements, and the expectations of those around us constantly reinforce the idea that we must be like someone else to be worthy. But when you are isolated, you can stop comparing your life to others and start focusing on your own journey. You can embrace your unique path, your unique gifts, and the unique contributions you have to offer. You begin to see that your worth is not determined by how you stack up against others, but by the way you show up in the world as your true, authentic self. In isolation, you may also come to realize that your value is not just in what you can offer others, but in the fact that you are loved unconditionally by the divine. It's easy to forget that we are worthy of love, especially when we are isolated or going through difficult times. But in solitude, you have the chance to reconnect with your spiritual beliefs and to remember that you are inherently loved and valued by God. This spiritual connection reinforces your sense of worth and reminds you that, no matter what, you are enough. Your value is not based on your accomplishments, your relationships, or your external circumstances. It is rooted in the fact that you are a beloved creation. Through isolation, you learn to trust yourself more deeply. As you reflect on your past, reconnect with your passions, and deepen your relationship with yourself, you begin to trust your own instincts and decisions. You realize that you have the inner wisdom to guide you and that your intuition is a powerful tool in recognizing your own value. You no longer need external validation to tell you what you're worth. You begin to recognize your own value from within. This newfound trust in yourself is one of the most empowering gifts that isolation can offer. In isolation, you gain clarity about your true worth. It's a time to peel back the layers of external influences, comparisons, and distractions to reveal the truth of who you are. You are valuable because you are unique, because you have talents and strengths that no one else has, and because you are inherently worthy of love, joy, and success. When you recognize this truth, you begin to live more fully, more authentically, and with a deeper sense of purpose. Isolation offers you the opportunity to see yourself clearly, to understand your worth, and to embrace it with open arms. It is a time to rediscover your value, not based on the external world, but rooted in the deep understanding of who you are. In conclusion, isolation is not a punishment or a period of loneliness, but a profound and transformative space where personal growth, spiritual awakening, and self-discovery occur. Through isolation, you confront your weaknesses and fears, face your past, and develop a deeper relationship with God. It is in solitude that you cultivate emotional intelligence, learn to trust yourself, and realize your intrinsic value. Far from being a time of deprivation, isolation is a sacred opportunity to reconnect with your true self, align with your divine purpose, and emerge stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Embrace isolation as a powerful tool for transformation, for it is in those quiet moments of solitude that you uncover the strength, clarity, and wisdom to step into your blessings and live the life you were always meant to lead. Thank you